So the college football playoff, not the CFP. There's this insurance company called CFP. How is that allowed? There's got to be like CFP, college football playoff, whatever that insurance company is. They got to find a different tool. Anyway, though, they went to a 12-team seeding, so yeah, they're still going to be like the same like qualifiers, but it's still ranked 1 through 12. So like, if you're really good, you're gonna get a 1 seed. It's not like freaking Boise State's. I mean, Ashton Jets, nothing against you, but they're not really the 4th best team in the country. Anyway, though, I just wanted to say that before we get into our final schedule ranking. Yeah, NFC West. Let's go. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the final vote. Again, please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the final divisional schedule ranking of this season, I guess is what we call it. Anyway, though, roster grades start on Saturday, so that's interesting. The pre-videos, obviously, you'll figure out who's first pretty easily with that pre-video. Anyway, though, the first team we're going through the NFC West. This division overall, again, just going straight up, it isn't that bad. I think you'd be pretty ill-advised to say that any of these teams are less than I'd probably say average. I mean, maybe you can want to say that, but all these teams should have a chance to be at least being competitive. Again, if anything goes haywire, that could definitely happen, or something different could definitely happen. Anyway, though, looking at the Cardinals first. Again, they finished, what was it, 3rd in this game? I don't really even care, to be honest with you. So, but looking at the Cardinals schedule, again, they have, I think, easier. They're like 11th for the strength schedule. Again, you'll see it at the end when we rank these officially. But for the Cardinals, they opened up their season in New Orleans. Probably one of the more, I'd probably say desired games to start their season. That's the one that, again, we look at the Cardinals for a team that, again, hasn't always had the greatest starts to seasons. I mean, they were decent last year and the year before and all that. But yeah, to the point, they're not always the greatest in like week 1 and stuff. So the fact that they have a game here that is very winnable, yes, it's on the road, but again, they're definitely a lot worse road games. I think is really good for them. Versus Panthers in week 2, that's not going to be an easy one to win. But again, they usually play well in week 2, so I honestly think they could definitely get out to a 2-0 start. Going to San Fran the next week though, that game could definitely be tough. But who knows? Again, they could definitely win that too. I don't know if they're going to get out to a 3-0 start, but I think 2-1 is very, very fair. Versus Seattle, week 3 and week 4 on a short week. Again, they don't play well in Seattle the past couple of years, as many do know. But outside of that, who knows? Again, the Seahawks had their number last year. They swept them and they won by double digits in both those games. So let's see if they can, maybe win this one. Then they have another home game again on the mini bye against the Titans. This is a game that I really think is probably they're most likely to win the entire schedule. They have a big break, and the Titans coming here again. I think from the pretty far away. That's a game that I really think that they need to take care of. At the Colts in week 6, again, that'll probably be a pretty close game. Again, I'm not going to act like they may not be the better team. First, Packers. They haven't played home against Packers, if I'm not mistaken, since 2021. They lost that one. That's the best Cardinals have been in probably since 2015, if you think about it. Again, week 8 bye week, perfect for them. So again, really looking at this, I think there's a very good shot they have a 4-3, maybe even 5-2 record going into their bye week. But again, as we know, it really doesn't matter. Week 9, they're in Dallas. Big game against the Cowboys. That one I think that could definitely be one of the biggest games on the entire schedule. At Seattle week 10, honestly, guys, I don't see them winning. Again, on a short week. Again, traveling pretty far overall when you think about it. That just doesn't really seem like two best games off the pipe. Again, if they win at Dallas, who cares? Versus Niners versus Jags these next 2 weeks. Again, Fox and CBS, I guess what you want to call it for those. Neither of these games will be on national TV, but I think they'll both be pretty significant. Overall, though, again, if they're able to, win one of these 2 games, probably not too likely. What do we say? 4-3, I'd probably say is pretty fair there. So they're 4-5, 5-5, 6-5, 5-6 is pretty fair there. Then they travel to Tampa for a big game against the Bucs. They got the Rams at home. I think they actually will be able to knock off the Rams once this year. Who knows when that'll actually happen? But through week 14, I think 7-6, 6-7 is a pretty fair evaluation for them. But we look at this, their last 6 weeks overall are not easy at whatsoever. They have 4 road games in Cincy. We'll get that in a second. But then they go to Houston. That's going to be a really tough one. I just don't know. This game doesn't feel like one they're going to really show up for. Versus the Falcons, though, week 16, I think this is a game they will be able to take away. And then, of course, they have this flex game that we don't know if it's going to be on a Saturday, a Sunday, who knows when. But that Bengals game will probably decide their playoff fate. And they have at the Rams, which, again, also could decide their playoff fate, too. But their last 6 games are probably one of the more difficult on the entire schedule, especially with the Rams. Again, those last, they're playing them twice. But again, I think they can definitely beat them. And then, again, they got the Bucs on the road, the Texans on the road, the Bengals on the only one that I think, again, they have a pretty good shot at winning is versus the Falcons. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, probably not a good end of the season. But, again, overall, again, it gives them a chance to, be competitive late in the season. And up next is the San Francisco 49ers, who did finish last in the division after having a pretty similar season to 2020, outside of, maybe their quarterback being a little more healthy, and Brock Purdy, who they just gave that huge contract to. You can go watch, I think, what was it, the AFC North, maybe I think it might have been the AFC East, where I saw how many low taper fades Brock Purdy can get over that contract in terms of the guarantees. But with that said, the Niners, again, they have back-to-back road games open their season. Neither one of these is overly, just not really that hard, to be honest with you. At this Seahawks week 1, that'll be a fun game to watch. Week 2, though, they're in New Orleans. Like I said, these are both games that, again, I think they could absolutely win. And like I said, this is a game against the Cardinals, so I think in week 3 that could get them out to a 3-0 start, or maybe 1-2. We'll see. But overall, I think this team has got a shot to even get out to 4-0 if they really, are feeling good. Versus the Jags here in week 4. Will that actually happen? I don't think so. They're probably going to drop at least one of these. But, again, I'd be shocked if they're anything worse than 2-2. At the Rams, week 5 is a short week. I don't think this is one that they're going to exactly play too well. And they really haven't. Honestly, guys, their offense hasn't really performed against the Rams since, honestly, week 2 when they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, or 2023. So I'm just not really feeling too great about this one. But I do think they'll win later in the season. Again, they also have the latest possible bye week 14, which isn't ideal. At the Bucs week 6, that's also not great, but it is on a mini bye, so I think there's a good chance they'll be competitive in that one. So I think they're again worst here. They're 3-3 versus the Falcons week 7 on Sunday Night Football. I think that's a game they will show up and play very well in. At the Texans, at the Giants, we'll probably say they split those. I don't know. Again, they could definitely lose to the Giants. So, honestly, through week 9, I think I feel probably a 5-4 start here. I think they'll be able to beat the Rams here in week 10. Again, I just don't think the Rams are going to be. The Rams are going to, again, they're not going to win every game, obviously. And I don't know. This just doesn't really feel like a game they're going to really play too well. And again, with them at home, I'll definitely give them that one. 6-4, I'd say. At the Cardinals week 11, do they go for the sweep? Who knows? But I think, again, 6-4 or 7-4, 6-5 is fair. And they got their last 2 games, again, in prime time against the Panthers. I think they only have 4. They have enough prime time against for sure. They got to sell at 5. But versus the Panthers, that one I think I definitely think they'll play alone on that one. They get the Browns on the road before the bye. Maybe they lose that one. But anyway, going their bye week, I think 7-6 is a very, 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 very fair and precise. I won't even say precise. I think that's what they're going to be going in their bye week. Maybe they're 8-5. Maybe they're 6-7. I'd probably say, honestly, 8-5. I think is like a little more optimistic, but I still think that could definitely happen. Off their bye week, they have arguably one of the most ideal ends of their season. Their only road game is in Indy, and that's indoors. They got the Titans and Bears at home. Again, the Colts and Bears both being on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football. Then they got versus the Seahawks to end the season, which again is very, very ideal as well for them. So we look at this overall. Their last 4 weeks are probably one of the better stretches to end the season for a lot of teams. So I mean, if it's really going to be that close. Again, if they're able to sweep the Rams in this first half of the season, there's a really good shot. I think they could win the division. Will that actually happen? Who knows? Again, they're not the most talented team right now. Again, what you could see at the start of last year. So I'm not gonna say they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna be 8-5. But again, if they're able to somehow get to that, they could definitely go on a run here to end the season to maybe win the division. From a possible division title to a team that won it last year, that being my Los Angeles Rams. I'm not gonna be too biased. I will complain about stuff though. I'll definitely tell you that. Anyway, though, Rams, like I said, won the division last season. Again, it really wasn't the greatest way to end. Again, they still won the division, but I would have liked it a lot of ways. They were the only team that were really that competitive with the Eagles at all during the playoffs. Again, were they 14 yards short? They retooled a little bit, again, with Cooper Kupp going away, and Devontae Adams, who I think is overall probably a little bit more of a consistent receiver at this point in terms of the reliability there in a lot of ways. But anyway, the Rams, okay. I remember that's a bad thing. Anyway, though, I guess we're going to Cleveland this year for, that's interesting. Anyway, though, like I said, week 1, they host the Texans. That'll be a fun game to watch. I don't know why it's not in national TV, but this is one of the games in their schedule. There's plenty of them that should be featured. It's not going to be because Lions-Packers is, which I understand. That's probably, I wouldn't say a better game than Texans-Rams, but it's definitely one that I think would be more viewed. Anyway, though, this game is huge. I hope Kevin Harlan calls it. I think it's going to be a really close, really good game, but I think the Rams could definitely, again, it's going to be a good game. At the Titans week 2, probably one of the more boring games on the schedule for the Rams. It's not one that I think is going to be particularly great to watch. I think they're definitely going to win it. I just don't feel it's going to be like a complete blowout. I think it'll be somewhat close. I just don't think Cam Ward and that offense will really be able to get anything going. Biggest game on the schedule, or at least early in the season, not really. It's the freaking divisional round rematch, which is at 1 o'clock. What are we doing, NFL? This is just insane. This could have been the kickoff game. This could have been freaking Thanksgiving night. I don't really care. Anything but this. This is just stupid, to be honest. I'm okay with it, I guess, early in the season, but, like, There's no way this game should be a 1 o'clock game. Again, it will be in front of the whole country for sure. But yeah, that's just insane. But yeah, that'll be a massive game. It'll be in all likelihood be a 1-2 start, 2-1 start, 3-0. It's a very big game, even if it's early in the season. These next 2 games are very winnable though. Versus the Colts, that's a game I think again, even if they play really bad, and I could definitely see them figuring it out anyway. Like I said, versus the Niners is another big game on a short week, but again with them at home, and again the Niners again, like I said, not really playing great offensively for a couple games now against the Rams. I think this is definitely one they could win again if they're 4-1. Very happy with that. Week 6 in Baltimore, that's gonna be a really tough game. If I'm not mistaken, that might be the standalone game for Fox this week. Also, this game should be in prime time. The last time the Rams and Ravens played, it was low key the best. I'm not even the low key. It was the freaking best game from the season back in 2023. Again, when the Ravens got that 1 seed, but again, that's just again a lot of bias with that. But still, it was, you can't deny that was an amazing game. And honestly, I'm not, again, that was the last time the Rams lost before they get the freaking BS game against the Lions. But yes, this game is going to be massive. Maybe the difference between 3-3, 5-1, 4-2. Who really cares? This game's going to be huge. Versus the Jags, week 7 in London. The Rams haven't played in London since before COVID when they played the Bengals, who were really bad. So I don't know. Maybe the Jags will be really bad this year. But I don't know. I think this is a game the Rams will win regardless. Let's say probably 5-2. Let's be safe. 4-3 going to their bye week. Because again, they were 1-4 going to their bye week last year. Or no, they were 1-4, right? Yeah, I think so. No, that's definitely right. Yeah. Anyway, and then they were 3-6 2 years ago. So yeah, just not really great there. Anyway, though, week 9 versus the Saints. That is a game that should be won. This is probably I'm gonna be honest. This is again on any NFL team schedule. If there's a game, I'd say, unless again freaking Stafford the whole team gets injured, there is a game in the NFL that again in terms of like an eliminator pick. If I could pick any game in the entire season, it would be this one. Off your bye week, hosting the Saints at 4 o'clock. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. There's no way around it. All right, week 10 they head to San Francisco. That's a game I could absolutely see them losing. So I don't know, maybe if they what are they 4-4 now, 4-5, 5-4, who knows? They got back-to-back home games versus Seattle, and they have their lone Sunday night football game of the year, which is just insane versus the Bucs. I expect both these games to be pretty competitive overall. But I think what will make the difference is the fact the Rams defense, I think, is going to be one of the best in the entire league this year. Not just because in terms of statistics and consistency, sort of. More to the fact that I think they're just going to be so dynamic that, again, a lot of these teams, like, I don't know, the Bucs, Seahawks, who are, they got quarterbacks who can turn over the football. I could definitely tell you that. Could definitely cause some problems for those teams. Anyway, back-to-back road games. At the Panthers, that's a game I think, again, they should be very favored in. And they got at the Cardinals, they're probably going to drop one of the Cardinals, and they got thrashed there last year. I'm not going to take any of these games for granted there. Versus the Lions, this feels just like that game last year when they played the Bills. Again, except I do think they'll have hopefully a better record. But again, America's game of the week, this is going to be in front of the whole country, probably one of the biggest games in the entire schedule for any team. At the Seahawks on a short week, that's just not really spells well for anybody. I really hope this game gets moved, to be completely honest with you. At the Falcons, Week 17 Monday Night Football, I do not know why they scheduled this. Week 17 Monday Night Football is supposed to be like the biggest game before Week 18. That's how it should be. Last year, I mean, they were very close on it, and if you think about it, they definitely had the right intentions. It's just, the Niners got injured. The game ended up being meaningless, and I know a couple years before the DeMar Hamlin thing. So again, it hasn't had a great stigma as of late. But I do think that this game, I don't really know why this is in here, because I think hopefully this will be the Falcons clinching the number 1 pick. And then Week 18, this we don't know yet, but they're going to be hosting the Cardinals, which I don't really think is great. But anyway, this Rams schedule overall, again, I think there's a good shot they can win a lot of games. But at the same time, if guys get injured, who knows what happens. Overall, though, it's definitely not like an easy schedule or anything like that, because again, it's not hard, but like, I think I only drop some of these games for sure. And the final team we will be talking about today is the Seattle Seahawks, who, they won 10 games and didn't make the playoffs. That's actually I think if you win 10 games, you should make the playoffs no matter what. That was a bad voice crack. I don't know, though. Gino's gone. Sam Darnold's around here. But anyway, for their schedule, it's very interesting. They actually have a 10 o'clock game, which we'll get to in a minute. But they open up their season versus the Niners. Again, we just talked about that a little bit ago. Again, I think it can definitely go either way. I think it's a little less likely that they do win it, considering they have 2 very nice games after this. But again, still, it'll be a toss-up. At the Steelers, Week 2, that could go a lot of different ways. I think, though, again, if they're able to play consistent on offense, that should be when they win. Versus Saints, Week 3, that's got to be a win. At the Cardinals, Week 4, short week. We'll see what happens there. Again, they had their number last year, though, like I said earlier. Versus the Bucs in Week 5. Probably one of the more fun games in the entire NFL schedule, to be honest with you guys. Again, many people are definitely going to overlook that one. But I think it'll be close, and maybe goes to OT. I think the Falcons, for the Bucs, though, I think a 3-2 start is definitely in the... again, in the order, I guess is what you could say. 3-2 as well. Or what did I say, 2-3, whatever. At the Jags week 6. Yeah, I could care less about this game. But this game should be a monster one before their bye week. ESPN Plus's featured game. I hate that they still. It's just stupid, but I guess they get the game. It'll be at 10 o'clock. I will not be watching it. They'll be hosting the Texans, and again, a very underrated game. Texans haven't been there since 2017. Go watch those highlights. Texans Seahawks 2017. That game was insane. I mean, maybe forget about Deshaun Watson, but again, the game itself was amazing. But anyway, week 8 bye week, same thing as Cardinals. But when we look at this, their first 7 weeks, I think there's a shot they go 5-2, but more likely 3-4, 4-3. Again, similar to the Rams, to be honest with you with that. Maybe the Rams are a little more likely to go 5-2. Anyway, though, week 9 at the Commanders, Sunday Night Football. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think the Commanders definitely have the upper hand, but again, with them being fresh, I think they could definitely be a little more physical. Versus Cardinals, week 10, that's a game I think they'll be able to win. At the Rams, that'll be a challenge, but again, it's nothing crazy. At the Titans, week 12, probably one of those games they're going to have to figure out how to win. Versus Vikings, week 13, should be competitive. At the Falcons, week 14, game they, again, should have a good shot at winning. They played really well in Atlanta the past couple of years, or dating back actually a while now. Versus Colts, and week 15, that's gonna be fun to watch. And then, no, I'm joking. It's not going to be. And then week 16 versus Rams on a short week for both teams, obviously. That's definitely going to bode well for them because, again, I think the weather and stuff, the Rams aren't going to really play too well in that one. The last 2 weeks are going to be the flex game with the Panthers and then in San Fran. Maybe it's the greatest way to end the season, but at the same time, both winnable games. And overall, I think you got to be pretty happy with this if you're Seattle. And I hate to do this, but, again, the hardest schedule in the division, I think, is, in fact, the Rams. Just because we look at it, again, it has technically the hardest strength of schedule at 521%, which, again, is the 11th hardest in the league. But also the reason I think it's the hardest is just because, again, the way it's structured, they got some, again, really tough opponents on there. And just, again, the way it's overall, I don't see this Rams team winning 14, 13 games this year. Again, just because of that. But I don't know. Maybe it'll just go crazy. But the way it works, I don't know. I'm not, like, too mad. Again, the schedule overall, again, I just don't like the fact that there's some big games that just aren't going to be featured. But at the same time, outside of that, again, there's still tough opponents. Like, that's just what it comes down to. Yeah, there we go. Or Yeet. I don't know. Is this the Cardinals? We'll figure it out. All right, Cardinals. This is gonna, again, like I said, sound weird, but they're not actually. I think they might have easier schedule than the Seahawks. The biggest thing is they still have tough opponents, and I don't, again, like similar to the Rams, I don't see them racking up any big types of wins. And also, I fear that, again, that second half of the schedule, like those last couple weeks, I'm like, will that really bode well for them? That's really why they're here in third and maybe not second. For the Seahawks, are we there yet? There we go. Seahawks are in second. I think they're definitely closer to the Rams than maybe the Cardinals are to the Rams in terms of their schedule. But like I said, the biggest differences between the Rams and the Seahawks, is the fact that both the Rams and Seahawks, again, very similar. But the fact that, again, I look at the Seahawks, I'm like, yeah, they could probably get off to maybe a better start. And also, the fact that, again, later in the season, there's some like games that I'm like, yeah, that's probably a little bit better of a stretch there. I think definitely separates them, and also the fact, again, it's just straight up easier schedule, guys. That's just kind of how it is. And the Niners are in first because their end of the season is one of the more favorable in the entire league. And like I said, if they're able to get through this couple weeks, maybe sweep the Rams, they have a very good shot at winning this division. Again, will that happen? We'll see. But outside of that, yeah. Niners are the easiest schedule in the NFC West, and again, strength of schedule-wise, the easiest in the entire NFL. I don't know if I agree with that. That is all I have for the NFC West. That's all I have for every NFL team schedule. And yeah, roster grades start Saturday.
San Francisco has the ball back. First and 10.